Remarkable people overcoming remarkable challenges with resilience, dedication, community, and grit. Listen as they share their stories of overcoming adversity. Open your eyes to what is genuinely possible for all of us. Authentic Adversity with host Chris Howe.
Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast. If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Today, I sit down for part 2 with Sergio Morandin. We're going to talk about a little bit of a different piece of his story, and it's more about the mental health aspect of recovery and sort of his journey along that. So welcome, Sergio.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Chris.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always good to chat with you. So we talked a little bit about this the other week, and I know, like, our first episode that we did, we covered a lot of your life story and a lot of the addiction piece and the addiction recovery piece. But what we wanted to touch on today is sort of the mental health aspect, and kind of I think it's really important to talk about, you know, trauma and mental health, even in addiction recovery, because that's part of your story, also part of my story. So it's really interesting to me to hear your perspective on this. So
yeah, I think sometimes the whole mental health aspect gets kind of whitewashed, right?
Yeah.
It gets pushed to the side, and it's all about, I got to get sober, I got to get clean,
right?
You know, just focusing on that. And the other aspect, like, well, why were you using and drinking your face off in the first place?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And for me, it was something that I struggled with well into my recovery.
Right. Right. And so you've got decades of sobriety now.
Yeah, 30 years.
30 years. Yeah. And so talk about what happened to you along the way, and what sort of were your markers and your signs and the symptoms, I guess, of that something wasn't completely right.
I always struggled with anger,
Mm-hmm.
right? Anger was always a big thing with me. And I just found that when I was drinking and drugging, right, it wasn't really frowned upon by my peers, the guys that I was out with, right? It was just part and parcel.
Yeah.
But once I got sober, it was just like it was boiling over at times, and over minuscule things.
Right.
And it really came to a head for me when I was about, I would say, 5 or 6 years sober.
Okay.
A guy cut me off in a Tim Hortons parking lot.
Yeah.
And I was literally out of my car, pulling him out of his car, like in an absolute rage.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I glanced in the back seat, and he had his kid in a child seat. Right.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I froze. I just absolutely froze, let go of the guy, got back into my car, and was out of there.
Yeah.
And I think I made it half a block. I had to pull over, and I vomited all over the street.
Wow.
And I remember phoning my sponsor, just saying, like, I'm coming unglued. Like,
yeah.
I can't keep a lid on this anymore, right? And
right.
he just kind of smiled and goes, finally.
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah.
I was just like, well, that's not the reaction I was hoping for, but okay.
Isn't that always the case, right? Like, our sponsors tell us something and we're expecting something completely different, and they
different. It's just like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It happens to everybody. It was like, oh, finally.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this.
Now we're here. And I was just like, what? Pardon? So we sat down, and coincidentally, he was a firefighter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I used to hang out at the fire hall all the time.
Right.
Go and see him. We'd sit down, chat, and stuff like that. And if they got a call, I would leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to see him at the fire hall after this incident, and I just said, listen, like, I can't keep a lid on this stuff anymore. It's getting out of control. And I wake up in the morning, and I'm pissed off, and I'm pissed off the entire day. And I force a smile and go through the motions, but, like, I'm angry and I don't get it. Right. Things are supposed to be getting better. So he hooked me up with this anger management therapist, right? And I said, I don't want to see a therapist. Like, there's got to be something else, right? And he just looked at me and goes, I see him.
Okay.
And I was like, pardon?
Yeah.
And he was just like, he goes, I go to see him.
Yeah.
Which to me was just like, it blew me away, because I kind of viewed this guy as like a real man's man, right? It's like, he's a firefighter. Nothing affects this guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's cool. And then for him to say to me, yeah, I see a therapist, it was kind of like, okay, now
Yeah.
what do I do? Now I've got no excuses, right?
Right, right.
So I'm like, I guess I'll go see him. So I saw this guy. He was a good guy. You know, we talked about a lot of stuff, uh, but I hid a lot of things from him.
Okay.
You know, I didn't talk about a lot of things. I didn't really talk about the relationship that I had with my mother, right?
Hmm.
How combative it was. I didn't talk about when I was 19, walking into my buddy's garage and, you know, finding him. He had committed suicide. He had hung
Yeah.
himself, right? I
Right.
didn't talk about any of this stuff. It was just, you know, we dealt with like what happens when you start to feel angry. How can you diffuse things? How can you peel it back?
Hmm.
And that worked okay for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, probably about 10 or 15 years, right? That kind of kept things at bay. But the longer I was in recovery, other stuff started to come up, right? I started dealing with depression,
Right.
and I would have bouts of depression which were completely debilitating, right? And didn't know how to deal with it, right?
Hmm.
Didn't want to go on medication because I was really nervous about that.
Yeah.
Uh, I did go on one period of time where I was on some medication stuff, but I just found myself almost like flatlined emotionally. Like the house could have been on fire, and I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, don't
Really?
worry about it." You know, I
Yeah.
might have a fire extinguisher. Like nothing phased me, but nothing excited me. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a good feeling. I felt like it. The only way I can really describe it is I felt like I was encased in jello. It's
Okay.
like everything was moving in slow mo, and it just nothing phased me. Nothing was good. Nothing was bad. It was just kind of like blah,
Right.
right? And I thought I can't live like this. No way.
Well, no, especially if you've given up drugs and alcohol, you're in recovery for like a long time. You're supposed to be enjoying and living your life. And now it's this like, okay, well, what am I sober for? Like, what am I living for?
I'm like 18, 19 years sober at this
Yeah.
point in time, right? And I'm just like going, this is it. Like
Yeah.
this is now my life. Like,
Yeah.
you know, don't care about anything. Don't, you know, nothing bothers me, but nothing really motivates me either.
Right.
So it was just kind of like, you know, I would go to a couple meetings a week and, you know, I would work and come home, hang out, watch television, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I just thought, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
So, of course, being a good alcoholic, I just decided I'm going off the meds on my own.
Yeah.
So I just stopped,
Okay.
right? Which is like a horrific thing to do.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
I literally came apart at the seams, right? Like
Yeah.
I couldn't focus. I was shaking. It was horrific, right? So I phoned up my doctor and I said, listen, man, I stopped taking the meds. And he's like, you what?
Yeah.
He goes like, we got to wean you off this stuff, right?
Right.
I was like, so I'm yelling at him on the phone. I said, what is this, like heroin now?
Yeah.
Now I got to wean off this stuff.
Yeah.
So back to the doctor, and you know, over a period of about, I think it was about 6 months, I weaned myself off the medication, right?
Okay.
And I felt good for a period of time,
Right.
right? I did. Like, I went to more meetings. I got more involved in things. I got a little bit more active in other stuff. Started working out again and stuff. And that seemed to keep things good for a while, right? For
Right.
about 3 or 4 years. And then I was about 22, 23 years sober. And man, the depression came back with a vengeance.
Wow.
Like I was literally bedridden,
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get out of bed, didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I don't think I showered or like did anything for about 2 or 3 weeks at one point in time.
Yeah.
And one of my friends came over and just said, like, what are you doing? And I
Mm-hmm.
just said, I could care less. And honestly, the only thing that was going through my head was I need to off myself.
Yeah.
Like I can't live like this anymore. Right.
Right.
And I was like, you know, 23, 24 years sober at the time. Right.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I'm thinking about is like, let's just end this. Like, fuck. I
What a way
just
to
got to
live.
figure out a way to
Yeah.
just, you know, let's just call it a day. Like I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with this. And I'm thinking like, this is what I've worked so hard for in sobriety,
Yeah.
to feel like this, like to hate myself, to hate my life. And, you know,
Right.
nothing's good. Everything's shit. And coincidentally, the depression started right at a time, a relationship that I'd been in for about 8 years had ended, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was a crazy relationship. It was toxic. We
Yeah.
were, definitely like, gasoline and fire together. Like
Right.
it was good on the weekends and stuff, and then we would fight all week. It was a sideshow. But
Yeah.
anyways, this ended, and then the depression kicked in hardcore, right? And I was like just looking at my life and going, okay, you work, you're alone. Yeah, you're sober, but like, who cares?
Right.
Like, that's how I'm thinking. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
And I got nothing really going on. So, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point? This is the stuff that I've worked so hard for. So my buddy convinced me to, check into a few meetings and stuff like that. And a friend of mine who's a female came up to me and said, "Can we have coffee tomorrow?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm pretty busy. I don't know what I was busy doing, but
Right.
like, I said." And she said, "Well, I'll come to you."
Okay.
And I was like, oh, God. I didn't want to have this conversation with her, right? Because she was so happy and bubbly. And I thought, like, you are the last person I want to be around right now, right?
Yeah.
Always smiling, always perky. And, like, life is wonderful. And I'm just like, I'm looking for the soft spot in the back of your head, sweetheart.
Right.
Like, I don't want to talk to you at all.
Yeah.
So she came to me. She goes, "You're struggling with a lot of stuff, Serge." And she goes, "And I don't know what it is because you don't tell anybody. You're
Okay.
always fine. Everything's always okay."
Right.
And she goes, and obviously it's not okay.
Yeah.
And I can't even tell you why, Chris, but I was just completely honest with her. And I said, "Yeah, nothing's okay.
Okay.
I'm far from okay." And I said, "I am one of those people that is struggling in the rooms right now. And it's not about alcohol and drugs. It's about everything else."
Yeah.
And she said to me, she goes, "Have you ever taken care of your mental health?" And to be honest with you, I didn't even know what she was talking about. Like, my mental health, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know like, what is this? Like, theory of relativity? Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And she goes, like, "You've got trauma from your life, Serge." And I said, "Yeah, everybody does. Big deal. Like,
Yeah.
you move on. You live with it." And she goes, "No, you don't." She goes, "You don't live with it."
Yeah.
And so we talked for like about 2 hours at my place, right?
Okay.
And she gave me a telephone number with this guy's name. And she goes, "I want you to call him." And I said, "Who is he?" She goes, "He's a therapist." I said, "I've seen a therapist. I don't want to go see a therapist."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Why?" And I didn't have an answer for her.
Okay.
It's just because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't want to, at the end of the day, I knew this was going to be work, and I knew some of it was going to be painful. And I was just like, nah,
Yeah.
not interested.
Isn't that funny that, that far into that deep into recovery, and that the work that you've done through the steps and the daily work that you do, to stay sober. And we're actually, and this was true for myself too. You kind of hit a wall at the, like, digging a little deeper into your past, and actually opening up some of those vaults that you've kept closed for so long, and just learn to, as you said, just live with it. And yeah, we're just living with it, but we're not living very well. You know what I mean? Like, we're struggling with it.
Yeah, the best way that I can describe it is it's trying to swim with a backpack full of rocks.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's possible, but it ain't going to be easy.
Right.
And there's going to be a lot of pain involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, so I finally just said to her, "Yeah, okay, I'll call him.
Okay.
I will." 3 weeks goes by. I haven't picked up the phone, because the phone weighs about 3 million pounds. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm just, I haven't seen her for like a week and a half. So, like, good. She's at bay, right?
Yeah.
And then she phones me. Did you call him? "No, I've been busy." She goes, "Really? Doing what?"
Yeah.
I said, "Stuff. Now you're harassing me."
Right.
And so she called me every day.
Wow.
Every morning she would call me. She goes, I want you to call him today." I'd be like, "Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's a good friend.
Yeah. Good. Oh, gonna get right on it."
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Of course. No.
Yeah.
No. Don't call. Right. And she called me like every day for about 10 days. And I actually thought, I'm going to block her number. That was my next move.
Yeah.
I'm going to block her number.
Right.
I don't want to get better. I'm going to block her number because, like, and when I look back at it now, it's insanity.
It is.
It's absolute insanity. It's like it's just like using and drinking it all over again. It's like, no, I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll deal with my issues tomorrow. They're
Yes.
just going to go away. No, they're not.
Yeah.
They don't just magically, fade off into the mist. Like,
That's right.
I wish it were that easy, right? So I finally picked up the phone and called this guy, right? And he goes, I've been expecting your call.
Oh, yeah.
I said, really? He goes, yeah. He said, how about we meet tomorrow? I said, oh, tomorrow's not good. He says, well, what's good? Of course, I couldn't come up with a date.
Right.
He goes, how about tomorrow? And I was like, all right, man, whatever. So
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? This guy's got like one session and he better like really amaze me.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not doing this. So I go into his office and stuff like that, and we sit down. And, he's an older guy and stuff like that, but so easygoing and just, just very welcoming, right?
Yeah.
And we chatted about a few things, and he goes, so how you feeling about, life in general, right? And I don't know why I said this to him, Chris. I said, I've been sober for X amount of years, and I'm trying to figure out a reason not to off myself today.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, wow. He goes, okay.
Right.
And he goes, well, he says, we can do one or two things. I said, okay. I said, what are they? He goes, I have a legal obligation to contact someone right now.
Okay.
Or we can meet every week and talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, choice is yours.
Right.
I thought, you got to be kidding me. What kind of trap is this?
Yeah.
I thought, perfect. Like, that's not much of a choice. Like, I can either get the guys in the, in the white jackets to come and scoop me
Sure.
up, and I know what that's going to be. That's going to be 72 hours in an institution.
Yeah.
Or I can come and see this guy every week, right? So I remember saying to him, I go, so is this how you get most of your clientele?
Did he see the humor in it?
Oh yeah, he laughed. He goes, no. He says, but he goes, you're important.
Yeah.
And he goes, and people count on you.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, sure.
Right.
So I started seeing him every week, right? And it was the same thing, right? Talking about childhood, what went on as a child, right? And I would always be like, why are we talking about my childhood? Like I'm like in my 40s now, like my childhood doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And he would explain things to me. He goes, we are our childhood. We carry our childhood with us everywhere.
Right.
Right. So all the stuff that went on in your childhood matters today. Right. And I said, I'm just trying to figure out how to keep a lid on things, right? How I can keep my anger at check and how I don't get, paralyzed by things, right?
Right.
And he goes, well, it comes from your childhood, right? And as I said, like, in the first episode, there was a lot of bullying in the beginning of my childhood, right? Because I stuttered badly and stuff like that. And that's where the anger stemmed from, right?
Right.
The frustration of not being able to, to keep people at bay and stuff like that, and to have that constant battering, like, day in, day out, right? It scars you.
For sure it does. Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't really understand that part, right? I just thought you grow up, you become a man, and you walk it off.
Yep.
Like every other guy does, right?
Right.
It's funny, like there's a comedian, Bill Burr, he talks about, being a good man and just stuffing your feelings down and keeping them down. And then you have a massive heart attack at 48 years old, like every other guy.
Right.
And it's funny, and we laugh at it because it's so true.
It is. Yeah.
Who talks about their feelings? You worked in the fire department. Like, how many guys are sitting around talking about their feelings and their fears and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I work construction.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking about that stuff.
No.
We're teasing each other. We're chirping at each other, but how do you feel today? Never happened.
Right.
Are you struggling with anything today? It was never never going to be part of the conversation.
For sure. And and you wouldn't dare to bring it up for fear of like the like backlash
The
that you get.
retribution,
Yeah,
the backlash would be like unbelievable. Like
right.
you'd be the laughing stock for the next month and a half until someone else messed up, right? But
Exactly.
like, yeah, oh, that would never be part of the conversation. Absolutely not.
But we know now it's like that's, that retribution is because they're like, oh shit, he's touching something that we can't, we're not, there's no way will we talk about this stuff. So how do we squash this as fast as possible? Well,
Oh,
put him down until he doesn't, until he feels like shit about himself and never brings that up again. Cause I don't want to talk about my feelings.
yeah, like
Right.
you're not going to put me in that position where I'm going to be put on the spot,
Yeah,
and something might actually affect me because you've already hit about 19 nerves just
exactly.
bringing this stuff up. So I got to put this to bed real quick.
This episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast is brought to you and sponsored by Another Road Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center. Another Road offers a client-centered recovery program tailored to every individual's circumstances. Their focus is to create a supportive healing environment rather than a rigid, rule-based institution. Their dedicated commitment upholds the individual values respecting each person's desire for recovery. Another Road understands that every individual requires a unique and focused approach to their recovery. Certain modalities of treatment are introduced along with the tools necessary for each client. Located in a rural setting, their addiction treatment center for all genders provides the perfect setting for a transformative recovery experience and sense of belonging. The private residential treatment facility offers an unparalleled program with counselors that have in-depth knowledge based on varying years of experience in addiction. Another Road utilizes unique, individual-focused plans for recovery that address the complexities of drug addiction, alcoholism, and prescription medication misuse. They have a 65% success rate when clients follow their program. I know many people who have completed this program and they have absolutely rave reviews. To learn more, visit anotherroad.ca.
So I started working with this gentleman, right? And we talked a lot about my childhood, right? We talked a lot about, the combative relationship that I had with my mom. And I'm not here to put my mom down in any way, shape,
No,
or
of
form,
course,
right? She
yeah.
had her own issues and stuff, right? But there was a lot of humiliation growing up. There was a lot of, expectations that I could never meet, right? And then forced to feel like a disappointment when I didn't hit those markers that she had set for me, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I've said in the rooms and in other places many times, the biggest lie that some parents tell their kids is, "I just want you to be happy." My version of happy, not
Exactly.
yours, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be my version of happy, what I think makes you happy,
Right.
and that's just not the way it is, right? Like that's just not the way that it works out,
No,
you know.
never. Yeah.
And sometimes it builds a lot of animosity, it builds a lot of fear, and it builds a lot of disappointment, which is just
Yeah,
just a great uh, bed of earth for like all sorts of mental health issues to grow from, right?
for sure. It's trauma. It really
Yeah.
is. Like, yeah.
And then I talked to this guy about walking in on my buddy that had hung himself in his garage, right?
Yeah.
And he stopped. He goes, "That's horrific, Serge. How did you deal with that?" I said, "I went to the funeral."
Yeah.
And he says, "But what about the feelings that brought upon?" And I went, "What feelings?"
Right.
I didn't even know what he was talking about. Like he might have been talking, about outer planets. Like I had no idea, right? So we spent weeks upon that, right? Just to bring about the thing that it was painful.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to miss my friend. There was fear,
Mm-hmm.
right? All these things that I had just pushed to the wayside because I
Yeah.
can't deal with it.
Yeah.
So, and as a guy, we're not going to talk about that. Like,
Right.
what am I going to talk with my buddies, who I'm drinking and using with about, oh my God, I'm terrified. Like,
Yeah.
I'm feeling anguish. Like,
Yeah. Get the
I
fuck
feel
out of here.
guilt because
Yeah.
they'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Right. Go ruin
You didn't
somebody
do
else's
anything,
party.
right?" Yeah, it's like, really? Like,
Yeah.
enough,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, and I did have a lot of guilt, right? Because he was a close friend of mine. And I thought, like,
Yeah.
why didn't I see anything? Why didn't he say something to me? Blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
All these
Definitely.
things. coincidentally, like, 5 years after that, I found myself in my mother's basement trying to stuff a gun in my mouth, trying to end my own life in early sobriety, right? Because
Yeah.
I couldn't handle things, right? So did I say anything to anybody? Did I talk to anybody? Hell no, right?
Right.
We're not talking about that, because that
Yeah.
would make me weak. And God forbid I could be anything, but I can't be weak.
Right.
Like, I just can't be weak,
Yeah.
you know? And that was probably the most difficult thing to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is realizing that, yeah, like, you're not made out of steel, and things
Right.
do affect you,
For
and
sure.
you have emotions and you have feelings, and things do really hit hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? I had nightmares about finding my friend for months and months. Never said a word to anybody.
Yeah.
Never said anything to my family. I remember my dad watching me really closely, like, during that period of time when
Okay.
I found my friend that had, like, he would ask me, like, is everything all right?
Mm-hmm.
Things okay with school, and, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, yeah, fine. Yeah, fine.
Right.
Right. But I know in retrospect now, like, he was probably thinking, like, Jesus Christ, like, I didn't see this coming, and I certainly don't want this happening to him.
For
So,
sure. And I wonder too if he was trying to, in a way that he didn't really know how to open the door to that dialogue, that conversation that you needed to have at that point. But that generation, like,
oh,
there's no way that they were never taught how to have that conversation. So
no,
how should he be equipped to talk to his son about
no,
that, right? But I wonder if that was like his way of trying to open that door to the conversation. And
yeah,
but then
probably.
the way we were raised, it's like, you also, I mean, I know for myself, I would never want my dad to know that I was feeling something. I was, my dad thinks I'm weak. That's it's
That's horrific.
right.
Right? That's horrific, because I looked at my dad. My dad was a lot of things, but my father wasn't weak, right?
Yeah.
Got up every day, worked construction for 10
Yeah.
hours a day, came home, took care of his family.
Mm-hmm.
He did his thing, right?
Yeah.
And I never heard my dad talking about being upset about this, or, being depressed, or any of
Right.
that stuff. And who knows if he's suffered from any of that stuff, but I certainly never heard him talk about his feelings,
Right. Yeah.
like, my father certainly has feelings, and I live with him today, right? He's,
Yeah.
he's closing in on 90, and I find the older he gets, the more sentimental and the more, warm he gets about things. But it just wasn't my dad's way.
Yeah.
I knew my father loved me. Like, I absolutely knew without a shadow of a doubt that my father loved me.
Right.
But it's not one of those things where we hugged and said, oh, every morning, I love you, Dad, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Even today, sometimes when I tell him, like, hey, I love you, Dad, he's like, yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Like, okay.
Yeah.
That's more than what I would have gotten 25 years ago
Hey,
from
for
him, right? So,
sure. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
25 years ago, he just would have been skirted out of the room, like, gotta go.
Yep.
So, dealing with that stuff, and and bringing up on, just talking about it and stuff like that, it was painful because it brought it all back to life,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, oh man, you begin to realize that the skeletons that you have in the closet have skeletons, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, where does this end? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember saying, in a session with him one time, I said, like, where does this end?
Mm-hmm.
I said, like, where does this end, man? Like, when is enough enough? And
Right.
he goes, depends how good you want to feel.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so it never ends. Perfect.
But you've heard that before, right? I mean,
Oh,
like,
many, and I've said it before.
yeah, I'm sure you said it to sponsees, and you said it to, and
Absolutely.
it very much, I mean, it very much mirrors the, our 12-step process of, like, we're constantly taking inventory. We're constantly, checking our motives. We're constantly, and we realize that it's a daily reprieve, and we get as much out of it as we put into it. And it's very much the same thing. And it really, it's interesting because, I feel like through the steps, like, this is my experience, at least through the steps, I scratched the surface of some of those traumas, and I got rid of some of the big, you know, the big things that and made amends with the, you know, the people that I had done the most harm to and all that. But what I failed to really recognize, and I think what I really, looking back now today, I can say I never properly made amends with myself and my past. And, you know, that process, I looked only externally, like, who did I harm? You know, and all that stuff is great and it's very necessary. But what about the self-love, and what about the self-forgiveness, and what about the
Oh yeah.
acceptance of our past, and the, you know, especially those things when we were, you know, we were too young to be able to make a decision, know any differently, or get out of a situation. We didn't have the power to do any of that stuff. And so a lot of that stuff, a lot of the traumas of our past, childhood trauma, we had no say in it. And you know,
No,
those
none.
are the tough things to look at, because it's not, I can look at something I did when I was high and drunk, and I was, you know, I was acting like a fool, and I pissed somebody off, and I harmed somebody in some way, shape, or form. But I chose to take the drugs. I chose to drink the alcohol. I chose to get out of control because, you know, I was addicted to the loss of control. But the stuff that happened in our early childhood, like, we didn't have control over that. It was
No.
out of our control. So that's the really hard stuff to look at, I find. And that's the stuff that, for me at least, I lacked that self-forgiveness and that you know, that self-love, that I wasn't able to give myself that love that child missed out on, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that,
You hit it. You said it beautifully, Chris. It's like, just like you said, like working through the 12 steps and making your amends and stuff like that. It was all about other people and
yes.
making things right.
Yeah.
How about making things right with me?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Never came up.
Yeah.
Right? Never came up. Never even thought of it. Right? It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, I got to live with my stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to live with all the shit that I did, and what I didn't do, and, my lack of self-esteem, and, all that stuff.
Right.
Okay, well, what about that?
Yeah.
Like, how can you move forward if you still, parts of you, or even the majority of you, still feels the same way that you did when you first walked in the rooms?
For sure. Yeah.
How are you supposed to move forward?
It's
You
no way to
can't.
live. Yeah.
I can only move so forward if I'm anchored.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm on a chain, like there's only so much room, right?
Right.
And yeah, talking with this therapist, and he knows quite a bit about addiction and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, of course you got to a point where like these things really became apparent in you.
Yeah.
He says, because whether you like it or not, he goes, you have a huge heart.
Yeah.
And he goes, and as much as you try to mask things, and, with the way that you look and the guys that you hang out with and stuff, things affect you
Yeah.
because you're emotional. And he goes, so if you haven't dealt with the stuff from your early childhood, how can you deal with the stuff properly that you did during your addiction?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you live freely, truly freely? And when he said this, it really resonated with me, like a bell going off, right?
I bet.
Because we
Yeah.
talk about freedom in the rooms all the time, right?
Yeah.
He goes, how can you live freely for the rest of your life,
Right.
without this stuff? And I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It was just, I kind of, I remember leaving his office one time and going like, did you not hear a goddamn word in these rooms for the last 24, 25 years? Like,
Yeah.
where have you been?
Yeah.
Right? But we don't hear a lot about self-love and self-care and stuff like that in the rooms. We hear about making amends. And this is the difference that I find. Women talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Women talk about self-love
Mm-hmm.
and self-care and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't.
Right.
We don't. It's like taboo. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you
Still,
talk
for
about
some
anything
reason,
else.
right? Yeah.
Still to this day,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, no, guys don't talk about it.
Yeah.
So it's a little mystifying that way. But I think it's definitely something that has to be focused on, right? And I talked to some of my sponsees, right? And as much as they talk to me about stuff that's gone on in their lives and stuff like that, the one question that I always ask them is, well, how does that make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's so apparent, especially guys that are in early recovery.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to talk about how they feel.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, how do I feel? I'm okay. No, you're not okay. If you were
Yeah.
okay, you wouldn't be in these rooms. So how
Yeah.
does it make you feel, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually like you can see the people that are okay with it, right?
Yeah.
Talking about their feelings sometimes.
Yeah.
And the other guys that are just like, well, yeah, that's taboo, man. We're not going there.
Right.
We can talk about the amends that I have to make and what I have to do to rectify things with people, but how I feel, no, 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 no. We're not going there, right?
Yeah. Doing that, like talking about the amends that you have to make and the mistakes you've made when you were drunk and high and that sort of thing. That's like we talked about. It's about other people and dealing with like, yeah, like I like to, I can clean up that stuff, but talking about how I feel is a little more internal, and the outcome of that is terrifying for most men who aren't in touch with their emotions, because if I let you in on that, then what will you think of me? And am I now I'm letting down my wall as a man, you know what I mean? This wall that I've spent my whole life building up,
Yeah.
I'm taking a few bricks out of it. And what if you see something in there that you don't like? What if you see one of those, as you said, the skeletons in the closet or whatever? Then what will you think of me?
There's the other aspect too. Are you going to use that against me?
Yeah, true.
Are you going to use that as a weapon against me?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
now you know my weak spots.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to aim for?
Right.
Can't have that.
Yeah.
Right. So it's been a journey of like about 6 years of taking those bricks off the wall, as you said,
Yeah.
right? And letting people in.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes, yeah, it's terrifying, right? And the way that my therapist said it to me, he says, Serge, he goes, you always have your armor on.
Yeah.
Your suit of armor is always on you, right? He goes, every once in a while, it's okay to drop your shield.
Yeah.
You've still got it strapped to your arm. If you need it, it's there.
Sure.
You know how to pull it up.
Yeah.
Right? And protect yourself.
Hmm.
But how about taking a breather and just taking everything in?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Allowing things to be as they are, and to feel things, and to be okay with feeling things.
Right.
And to be okay with saying, you know what? I'm not having a good day today.
Yeah.
I'm upset because of A, B, C, and this is how it's affecting me.
Yep.
The biggest struggle that I have sometimes is talking with my wife, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because she's very in touch with her feelings, right? Through yoga, through the 12 steps.
Yeah.
And she's been in therapy for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll come home and I'll say, I'm pissed off about blah, blah, blah. She says, well, how do you feel, sweetheart? I just told you I'm pissed off. She says, no, sir. She goes, how do you feel? I said, oh, you too? It's like, you too?
Yeah.
But she can see right through me, right? And sometimes that's terrifying, right? It's like, oh, man, you see right through me.
Yeah. Well, I think too, sometimes we're just looking for some place to unload the day on. And then when they say, hang on a second, stop right there, you actually have to do some work here if you want to unload on me. So how does that make you feel? And instead of just dumping all this shit from my day on you, let's talk about
here's the price of admission, pal. Exactly. You have to tell me how you feel about this. Then you can dump the rest, right?
Exactly.
But the price of admission is, how do you feel? Right. It's like, God.
But that's amazing, though. Like, I mean, and yeah, it can be probably exhausting and frustrating and all the things that we don't want to deal with at the time. But to have that therapist in our house for free when we come home every day, we have an opportunity there to not carry that bullshit with us. And as you said, drop that shield for, 45 minutes and actually talk openly and honestly and share. And chances are, I mean, I know that 9 times out of 10, when I talk about how I actually feel, the person listening, if they're a good friend and somebody who cares about me, is going to open up and share exactly when they felt that way or can relate to it in a certain way, or they'll open up the door to something that, so then I never feel that, we talked about that fear of judgment and that fear of like, what if you use that against me? Well, here, it's free trade here. I'm going to talk about my feelings and then you talk about yours. So we've got something on each other. And, not that anybody ever wants to use that, but we are trusting in each other that our emotions are safe.
And that's the biggest piece, right? Is trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that not all of us are very good at. Like I was never very good at trusting.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, it took a lot for you to earn my trust, right?
Yeah.
And once you had it and stuff like that, then it's a totally different ball game,
Yeah.
right? But to get to that point where I'm actually going to open that door and allow you in, ooh,
right. Yeah,
it's
you
a
got to go
march.
through the tests
Yeah,
first.
yeah. There's a lot of walking before you get that, that privilege. Like you
For
can
sure.
ring the doorbell as much as you want, but before I let you in,
Yeah.
there's a lot of tests involved, right? And
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that I did that with people,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I discovered, talking with my therapist and stuff. Is like how many tests I put people through, giving them a little nugget and seeing if this comes back at me, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll share just a little bit more and see if this comes flying back at me, right? Or if someone else hears about it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Before I actually just go, okay, here it is. Here's
It's
the
a lot
whole
of
meal.
work.
Enjoy. Oh,
exactly.
And it's exhausting.
Exactly.
Living that way. It's exhausting, right?
Yep.
And I remember saying to him one time in his office, going, I'm tired all the time. He goes, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
He says, you're on guard 24/7.
Right. Right.
He goes, you're pushing your emotions down. You're surveying everything that goes around you. You're wondering what can be trusted, what can't.
Yeah.
He goes, of course that's exhausting. He goes, this is going all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, and then you've got this built-in frustration because you can't let go of any of this stuff. Of course you're angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, it makes sense in this office, but like out in the street, it doesn't make any sense to me, bro.
Yeah.
Right. So part of this 5-year journey was to learn how to live this way.
Yeah.
Right. Because there was a lot of unlearning to do.
Right.
Like I'm 56 years old now. Right. And I started this process at 49.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a lot of work, man.
Definitely.
And a lot of training had gone into place where like, this is the way the surge operates. Right.
Yeah.
So now I got to change everything.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
I did
and
that
again
30
and
years
again
ago.
and again. Yeah.
And
but we're
yeah.
always, yeah.
And it's like, oh, I just got used to this neighborhood. We're moving again.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
man, I just put down my backpack. We got to move.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So about 4 years into this therapy with this guy, right? He kept saying to me, he goes, I do group therapy as well. And I was like, that's nice.
Yeah.
And that's how it started. The conversation
Right.
started, right? Like the little nugget, right? Here you go, chew on this for a while.
Yep.
And then he was saying like, yeah, he goes, I think you would be fascinated with this group therapy. And this went on. And I finally get to the point where I'm just like, all right, what's the deal with this group therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Like you've been mentioning this. Obviously, you got something on your mind. Just spill the beans already because I'm tired of the clues, right?
Right.
I'm not into this. So he just kind of laughs, right, when he deals with me. And he goes, I think it'd be wonderful for you. And he goes, but more so? He goes, I think you would be wonderful for the group. And I was like, whatever. And he goes, why can't you accept that?
Yeah.
And I was just like, what do you mean? He goes, you dismiss that immediately that you might have something positive to offer somebody else.
Right.
He goes, why is that? And I was like, I don't know. And he goes, well, that's what we need to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm honest about things, that's exactly how I was all the time, right? It's like if you said to me, you know what, Serge, I really appreciate who you are as a person and stuff like that. And you mean a lot to me. It'd be like, cool, Chris, you're a great guy too. Like, kill that immediately, right? It's kind of like, the old things when you're hanging out with your buddies, right? Don't talk about your feelings. Don't talk about anything intimate because, it's going to get creepy between two guys. Like, I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that weird though? Like, that you would feel that way after sponsoring so many people and playing such a huge part in other people's recovery. You still have that self-doubt in your mind about your worth to somebody else or to another group. That is insane, right?
And just the difficulty that I have accepting care from other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
is unbelievable. I will walk through fire for you,
Yeah.
but don't do it for me
Yeah.
because I'm not worth it.
Right.
That's what it
It goes
boils down
back to
to.
that
Yeah.
negative self-belief, right?
And where's that all start? Well, guess what? When you were a kid,
Yep.
right? So the cycle starts all over again, right?
Yeah.
So I started this this group therapy in September. And of course, I go in with the mindset, I'm going to check this out. I ain't saying a word for the first session.
Yeah. Put them through the test.
Yeah. Let's see what these yo-yos are all about. Right?
Yeah.
And I'll make my decision from there.
Right.
So very first session, it's a group of about 12 people. Everybody's got different degrees of, personal trauma and stuff like that. And it's an open forum where we talk about things that are going on in our lives and how things have affected us. I'm about 45 minutes in, and the group goes for 3 hours. Right?
Oh, wow. Is it a mixed group or is it men's only?
Nope, men and women. Okay. It's mixed. So that caught me off guard right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's women in here.
Yep.
That's not good.
Right.
And I'm looking at these other guys, I'm like going, and I don't like the looks of these guys. And they're looking at me, probably thinking, I don't like the look of this guy either.
Yeah.
45 minutes in, I unloaded my life story.
Really?
Told them that I'm in recovery, that, the abuse that I had with drugs and alcohol and all this stuff. And the stuff that I struggled with and stuff like that. And I remember walking out there and thinking, what happened to the fucking planet just like shutting up and seeing what's going on, right?
Right.
And I don't know why I did it, right? But I'm so grateful that I did do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I bet.
Because I remember one guy coming up to me like afterwards, right? And he just said, that's one of the bravest things that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at him, I go, why? And he goes, because it's your first time here. And he goes, and you opened right up to us. Right. He says it was beautiful. And I'm telling you, a knot turned in my stomach immediately when he said that. Right? Okay. I thought, oh, what is this? Yeah. Right. And then, of course, like a couple of days later, I had my one-on-one session with my therapist. Right. And I said to him, I go, this is what this guy said to me. And immediately my stomach tightened and I felt uncomfortable, like immediately. And I don't want to come back to group. And he goes, and that's exactly why you have to come back to group. Yeah. Yeah. He goes, because you got to learn to accept the love. For sure. Goes, something that you've never been able to do. He goes, you give and you give and you give, but you never take anything in for yourself. And he goes, and you need to feed yourself with that love. Absolutely. Kind of one of those, like, you can't, you can't give out until your cup's full, right? Like, yeah. And you've been giving out for, how many, 2.5 decades at that time for, giving, offering your, your your role as a sponsor to sponsees and, but never taking that, never taking the love or giving yourself the love. It's like we're all sitting in the desert. I'm handing out bottles of water, dying of thirst. Won't have a drop. Exactly. Right? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Right. But it makes sense in my sick mind, right? To me, it's just like, I feel uncomfortable. It doesn't work for me, and I get uneasy when people do this, right? Yeah. So this group session's a little bit different than how things operate in a 12-step room. Like in a 12-step room, when someone's sharing, you never interrupt or comment or something. Well, this happens in this room. Right? Oh, wow. So the first couple of times. That's interesting. Yeah, first couple of times it went on, I was like, what the hell's going on? And these people are out of their minds. Like, they're sharing. What's this? Shut up. Yeah. You need to be quiet. Right? And I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. That's a lot. Like, this is anarchy. But you know what? It's been healing. It really has. Really? Yeah. Hearing other people comment on stuff, right, that you're saying and saying and being able to say to you, you know what, Chris, what you said really resonated with me and really moved me. Yeah. And I need to know more about that. because I need to hear this stuff about myself, and I want to hear how it affects you. It's like, oh, now I got to open the jar even wider.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of nice that it's real time, right? It's not like you're on a podium talking and somebody comes afterwards and talks to you.
And
it's
pats
like
you on the back and say, yeah, great talk, gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're now like, in the hot seat.
Now you're having a dialogue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's nowhere to run.
Which is great for us.
It's like
yeah.
Especially for
terrifying,
a guy like
but
me,
great.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely petrifying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm absolutely terrified by this going. And I've said that. I said, this conversation for me is absolutely terrifying, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And they laugh and they go like, Serge, you don't look like you get scared of anything. I said, oh, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can go in the street and get into a gunfight and I'll be okay with that probably. But this here, this isn't good. This isn't good. Like,
at least you were telling them how you felt. That's a step.
So, and seeing grown men cry.
Yeah.
Openly about things, right? And tearing up, and being able to release that emotion and being okay with it has been, I can't even put into words of what it's done for me, right?
Yeah.
It's just, the only way that I can do is I feel lighter. I feel absolutely lighter, because I'm not carrying a backpack full of rocks trying to swim. Like I've unloaded of those rocks, right?
For sure.
And I've shared some stuff, in those rooms that I didn't want to talk about,
Yeah.
There's been, things that have gone on in my life, even when I was drinking and, and even today, right, that I don't want to discuss.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into. But when you're in that environment and you look around the room and you say, well, she's gone through the same thing as me.
Yeah.
And he's lived the same life. And this guy's life was even like an absolute sideshow and a horror show.
Right.
And he's talking about how he feels.
Yeah.
I hate to use these words, but like, I can't be a pussy. Like,
yeah. Well, it cultivates the atmosphere of openness and on honesty, right? Like, and like you said, if the guy next to you is doing it and you're looking at his life going like, wow, that guy, if I was him, I would be dead right now, or I wouldn't be, you know what I mean? And he's opening up about those things, does give you, it fosters that environment and it gives you the courage to say, you know what, if he can do it, I can, or she can do it, I can.
There's 2 or 3 people in that group, okay, where I have actually thought to myself, how did you not end up drinking your face off and drugging your life away? Because Jesus Christ, what you endured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? This is horrific stuff, right? And they're talking about it and, is it upsetting? Absolutely, 100%, right? But these people are managing their lives and they're talking openly about it and they're sharing their pain. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that I forgot, right? We got to share our pain.
Absolutely.
Like we have to get rid of that stuff, right? And we're only as sick as our secrets and stuff. So when we keep everything pushed down, as well as I do, man, you can only keep that lid on so long.
Yeah, absolutely.
I call it the Coca-Cola bottle effect, right?
Yeah.
You can shake that bottle and shake that bottle. Well, that lid's coming off. And when it comes off, it makes a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I don't care if you're 25 years sober, 30 years sober. Like, I've heard of people in the rooms that are 30, 35 years sober that have committed suicide.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, something was going on.
Yeah.
Right? Something wasn't being dealt with.
Yeah, definitely.
And you reach your point. I was 24, 25 years sober, and I was thinking the same thing. I just need to do this, get this over with, right? Because I don't want to live this way anymore.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think that way today. And it's funny, like this group that I used to go to begrudgingly in the beginning, right? For the first month and stuff, going, oh, not this again.
Yeah.
Jesus, this is going to be rough, right? I love it.
That's your people now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
I love these people.
Right.
And I can tell them that, right? And they tell me, you know what, Serge, I love you, right? And I don't cringe. I don't go, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
why'd you say that, right? It's funny, like, I always laugh and I tease my wife. I say, you tell me that you love me like 50 times a day. Like, I don't
Right.
have Alzheimer's. And she goes, yeah, I know. She goes, I do that for me.
Interesting. Yeah.
I do that because that's how I feel. And I never want you to question it.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And still today, like sometimes it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I love you too, right? Yeah, I know I heard you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still hard to accept that part, right? It's still hard to accept that warmth and that caring from other people,
Yeah.
right? But I'm making progress,
For sure. Yeah.
I'm making progress. I'm not living in the same neighborhood that I was living in before.
Yeah.
I've moved a couple of neighborhoods. I'm
And you
not
like your
getting too
neighbors now.
Yeah, and I like my neighbors now. Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
actually like my neighbors now. But you know what? I'm not planting deep roots because I know I'm not going to be here for long.
Right.
Like I know that.
Yeah.
I know that instinctively. Yeah, don't get too comfy here, champ, because there's a move coming.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to be, but there's definitely a move coming. So, don't arrange the furniture just the way that you like it because you're going to be packing up again.
For sure. But I would imagine that you're open to that move and you're not, you know what I mean? Like there's no resistance because that move brings you to a better place with more acceptance and, and your neighbors that you've grown to love are coming with you. Right.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to get some more neighbors that are pretty amazing as well.
Yeah. You're going to meet new neighbors, right?
Yeah.
The other thing that I find funny though, too, is like, it's been a 6 or 7 year process that I've been in right now, right?
Yeah.
You can see people that have never done any therapy.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see them, you see right through their pain and you just go, whoa, that's got to be brutal to carry.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you take care of that?
Right.
And then I think to myself, why didn't you take care of it earlier?
Well, that was us, right? Like I think we can see ourselves in those people, right? And we can see that pain because we've lived that pain.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know what you've gone through, right? And the stuff that you've shared with me. Like you went to treatment and you were how many years clean and sober?
10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To deal with some of your stuff. Like that to me is like,
well, that was very difficult. And I think that it speaks to, something that you were mentioning is that like, I think in recovery, we have a tendency to get complacent and feel like we've, almost that like we've arrived or, we've taken care of everything. Everything's great now because we've gone through our steps and we've maybe done it 4 or 5 times and life on the outside is pretty good, but on paper. But, when we haven't dealt with that stuff, I think that I know for me, this is my experience that knowing I was 10 years clean and sober and then had to go to treatment, that was a very difficult thing for me. Like it was a tough pill to swallow because I thought, I've done the work. I don't belong in treatment. I've done, you know what I mean? Like here I am back on the starting blocks. Like I feel like,
and that's how I felt when I started therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I carried that. Yeah, for sure. And it's tough. It's a tough thing to let go of because we almost, we hold this, I think, I guess it's resting on our laurels of, we've done the steps. We've done X amount of years in recovery. We're supposed to be in this good place. And that makes it even more difficult to admit that, hey, things aren't okay. And I used to always, in treatment, one of my therapists would always, because I was the exact same as you, how are you doing today? How do you feel? I'm okay. And they'd always say, okay, it's not a feeling. How do you feel? I'm good. Good's not a feeling. How do you feel?
I'm only laughing because like I've heard these things so many times in his office, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, how you feeling, Serge? Good. That's not a feeling.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is. It's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm fine. That's
Fine's
also not a feeling.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh man.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? But it's true. It's like, it's the things that you got to work through, right? And the things that you need to unlearn.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't know about you, but that's what I'd learned.
Yeah.
My entire life. How are you? I'm okay.
Yeah.
How you feeling? Good.
Good. Yeah.
I'm great. I'm fine.
I'm
Yeah,
great.
thanks.
How
Yeah,
about
let's
you?
move on.
Because take it off me. How about
Oh
you?
yeah.
All right.
Don't want the
Yeah,
spotlight on me. No, no, no,
yeah,
no, no. We're not going here. How are
exactly.
you?
Yeah,
I'll listen to an hour about how you're feeling.
yeah,
Me? Yeah, you got about 2 seconds. I'm
yep.
good and I'm fine. Yeah, let's move on.
It's funny. I tell this story every once in a while with people who can understand or who have been to treatment. So my therapist that I worked one-on-one with, she was on my case and she was amazing. She's always on my case. You're not good. You're not fine. Those aren't feelings or whatever. By the end of the 12 weeks, 14 weeks, whatever I was there, she'd say, "How are you doing?" And I'd be like, "Hang on, sit down." Cause and I'd just tell every emotion cause I was now trained to do that.
Yep.
On my last day, or if it was coming up to my release date, and I walked past her, and she was clearly going somewhere to a meeting or whatever. She was late, and I said, "Hey, how are you?" And she's like, "Oh, good." And she's like marching, and I'm like, "Good's not a feeling." To her, she turns around, and she's like, "Fuck you," like that. She's like, "Fuck you," but I'm proud of you. I gotta go. And I'm like,
Good work, but I'm busy.
Yeah, she's like, "I'm proud of you, but," and
Gotta go.
it was like kind of the tables were turned. Finally, it had come full circle, but it took like 14 weeks of, I don't know how many times a day she would tell me, "Good's not a feeling, fine's not a feeling, okay's not a feeling." How are you feeling? Like, tell me how you are.
That was like a year of therapy.
Yeah,
to figure out good and fine are not feelings.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, that's not a feeling. No, I'm fine. That's not a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you feel?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah.
Right. I remember in one session, I think it was right around the time when my wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, we were dating, had relapsed, and she was had gone away to Homewood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting a lot of backlash in the rooms about being with her and stuff like that,
Okay.
right? Because you got to break up with her because she just relapsed and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Right.
That's not going to happen. And I remember talking about this in his room, and he pulled out a scarf, right? And he sat right in front of me. He goes, "Hold on to that." So I held on to it, and he held on to the other end. And he goes, "I'm with you with all this stuff." He goes, "Do you feel that?"
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm holding on to a scarf." He goes, "No." He goes, "Do you feel that? I'm with you." And he would pull on it, right? I'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, what are we playing, tug of war?"
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "I'm with you. I'm here with you. I will
Mm-hmm.
never bail on you." And I looked at him and I said, "Everybody bails eventually." And he goes, "I don't."
Yeah. Amazing.
And it was just kind of like, I remember tearing up, right? Because so many people had bailed on me in my life, right?
Yeah.
It's what I expected. It's why, like, never get too close, because who knows how long you're going to be here.
Yeah.
Right. And to have that person to say to me, "I won't,
Mm-hmm.
I'll always be here," right, was just like mind blowing.
Yeah, for sure.
Me.
Definitely.
And, to be able to take that in took a while, right? And to be able to feel that and to be able to believe it as well. It's one thing to take it in, but to actually believe that, you know what? Okay. You will be here.
Yeah.
And you always have been here, right? And you're not going to bail.
Yeah.
And you're not going to tell my deep, dark secrets to anybody.
I'm sure that's an amazing feeling to have from somebody. And I've got people like that in my life now, and I never did before. And, you're one of them. And, I have no fear of somebody like you. I know that I can bring anything to the table, and it's not going to be judged. You're going to treat me with respect and dignity and see me through whatever I need to go through, and I never fear, a relationship like ours. I never fear that you're not going to be at the other end of that phone call, or you're not going to return the text. I know that you're always going to be there. And
well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, It's true.
That
And
still makes me uncomfortable, eh? Hearing
I'm
stuff like
glad.
that. It's
I'm
like,
glad. uh, no, you shouldn't.
ooh,
You shouldn't feel uncomfortable because it's the example that uh, uh, I've got a lot of people like that in my life, but they're all people like you who have done the work. And I think that, and when I say doing the work, it's not just like what we say doing the work in the rooms, right?
yeah.
It's all encompassing. And that, that I know that because you've shared some of the things that you have with me on multiple occasions, I know that you've been in the same places, you've experienced the same things, and you've seen the value in a reciprocal relationship like this, that, no, we don't hang each other out to dry. We pick up the phone and
It's funny. My therapist deals with a lot of veterans as well, right?
yeah.
Like he's told me, he goes, I see a lot of guys that are in the military, and he
Hmm.
goes, and I also happen to see a lot of people that are in 12-step rooms,
Yeah.
right? Be it NA, CA, and AA. And he goes, you people in 12-step rooms, he goes, are like almost identical to veterans.
Yeah.
He goes, you guys have been through the wars of your past.
Yeah.
And and he goes, I've never come across a group of people that are so supportive.
Yeah.
Like my therapist came to my 30-year medallion.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It's
I
amazing.
invited him and I said, if you can, he goes, I wouldn't miss that for anything.
Yeah.
Right. And he was there. Right. And I remember afterwards, right, he came up to me, he goes, have you looked around this room? I said, yeah. I said, I'm in this room like every week. He goes, no. He goes, these people love you.
Yeah.
He goes, did you hear the words that were, I said, yeah, I heard them. He
Hmm.
goes, did you hear them? Did you take them in?
Yeah.
I said, yes, Kevin, I took them in. I heard them. I didn't
Yeah.
like it, but yes, I took them in. And
Yeah.
he goes, you should love it.
Hmm.
He goes, you're loved, you're cared for, you're respected. He goes, all the things that you've always wanted your entire life. He
Yeah.
goes, you've got them. He
Right.
goes, enjoy it. It's not a
Yeah.
crime.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, why did I invite you?
No, but I mean, there's so much truth to that, right? Like
Yeah,
those are the things we were seeking for, that validation and that respect
yeah,
and that, all that, and then,
to be
you
a
know,
part of.
to be accepted and belong. And then now that
Yeah.
we do, we're like, do I really
Ugh,
belong
this is,
here? Like, do
yeah,
you guys really want
this
me
is
here? Like,
this is uncomfortable. Am I
yeah,
really a nice guy? I don't know. Like maybe,
yeah,
but yeah. But it's also like, like the relationship that you and I have, right?
hmm,
I know that if I was jammed up, I could phone you.
yeah, 100%, yeah,
And because you've just told me that,
yeah,
that if you called me, I would pick up that phone.
for sure,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Right. Because um, I care about you.
hmm,
You're a great guy. Right. And the other part is I see the person that you are, right? How you treat other people, um, the way that you conduct yourself. And to me, you're a high value person. Not
thank
that
you,
I value everybody, right? But there's
yeah,
certain people that stand out, and you're one of those people.
I
Like you
appreciate
stand
that,
out. And it's not just because of the way that you look, right? Um, it's the way that you are.
yeah,
It's here, right? It's here.
thank you,
And
thank you,
well, you're welcome. It's the truth, right? And there's always going to be, I believe, people that filter in and out of your life and stuff like that. And some people stay and some people move on and stuff like that.
right,
But there's certain people that really stand out, right, to you and resonate with you even more than others would, right?
yeah,
Like I may not see you very often. We may not talk very often, but when we do, it's like I just spoke to you the day before.
exactly, yeah, for
There's
sure,
there's never that pause. You know what I mean? It's never like, yeah, we may catch up. What have you been doing? Blah blah blah, this and that. But there's always that comfort that's immediate,
yeah,
right?
definitely,
It's always immediate, right?
yeah,
And I think that has a lot to do with, well, of course we're both in recovery and we both have the same goals and stuff like that. But there's also, you've done a ton of work on yourself in and out of the rooms,
right,
and so have I,
yeah,
right? So I feel comfortable with you to drop my shield and just say, okay, now I'm
Yeah.
just dealing with Chris. He's never going to go for the weak spots.
Right.
Never. That's not going to happen with Chris. I know that. I'm
Yeah.
in a safe space. I hate using that word, but
No, but I get it. Yeah.
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 It's a very safe and okay environment. And
Mhm.
he's going to get what I'm saying to him. It's
Right.
not going to be lost in translation, right?
Yeah. I think that's really important to have a network of people in our lives that are like that we know that we can bring that stuff to. And as you said, some people, yeah, they'll come and they'll stay for a period of time and then they'll go, and they came for a reason, for sure. And
Yeah.
you know, but then there are those rock solid people that, you know, they're there whether, you know, you like it or not, and you love them
Yeah.
for it, because
Yeah.
the times that you're like, fuck, I wish you weren't here right now because I want to hide, but now I got, you know, now I got to actually open up, and this is actually, you know, when I look back, it's going to be good for me.
A friend of mine says those people are like a tattoo that you can't get rid of. They're always there.
Yeah.
They're always there. Doesn't matter what you do. You can put a shirt over it and stuff like that, but it's still there, right? And
For
you
sure.
can't get rid of them. Yeah. And you know what? Those people are vital in your lives.
Yeah.
Right? Those people
Yeah.
are absolutely vital. I have a good friend of mine, you know, he's been sober even longer than I have and stuff like that. We talk every day and stuff like, you know, or every second day and stuff like that. And, you know, we joke around, we tease each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, it's always like, everything good with you, man? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's like a gut punch. It's like, okay, the joking around and the teasing is, we've had that 5 minutes.
Sure.
Let's get down to reality now.
Yeah.
What's really going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing today for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, right? And that conversation ends the same way every single time, right?
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine my life without you. I'll talk to you later. It's the same way every single time.
For sure. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to have that in another man. You know, the ability to share openly, honestly, without fear of judgment, and be able to say that without saying like, you know, no funny business, but I love you. Just to say, you know what, I love you, and you know, I say it to you, you say it to me every time we end a phone call, and because we mean it, and there's no explanation, there's no, oh, you know, like, you know, whatever people would feel uncomfortable, because that love is real, and that needs to be, it needs to be said, and it needs to be,
absolutely,
you know, we need to hear it as like, I want you to hear that, but like Rachel would say, I need it for myself too.
Yeah.
You know, I need to say it to you for me as well. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really value that in a friend.
Well, we have a common friend, right? Who, you know, is probably one of the toughest guys that's ever, you know, walked around this planet and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And every single phone call ends the same way with him, right?
Yep.
It's like, I love you, man.
Yeah.
I love you, brother.
Yeah.
You know, and you know he means it.
He does. He doesn't say anything he doesn't mean.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. He's as
yeah.
He's as upfront as they come. Like, there's no pulling punches with this guy, literally. And yeah, if he didn't mean it, he wouldn't say it.
No. Yeah.
Right? At all. Right. And,
for sure.
You know, he just called me the other day, right? And it was just like, you know what, man? I was just thinking about you, and I had to call you. I'm sorry it's late. I said, it's not that late. Like, don't worry about it, right?
Yeah.
And he goes, I was just thinking about you, man. Just thinking about you made me smile, and I had to call you just to say hello. Right?
It's amazing.
And it was just like, yeah, it's a great feeling.
For especially for a guy like him to be able to say that, you know, to a guy like you, you know, it's, and he's, you know, he'll say the same thing to me at the end of every phone call too. And it's like, yeah, fuck. Like you said, this guy, he is a tough dude that he would never say a word that he didn't mean. And I know that as fact. No. And, you know, to have that kind of relationship and that kind of brotherhood and camaraderie with somebody, it's really important. And, you know, it means a lot to me to have, you know, people like you, people like him in my life. Yeah.
You know, and I'm very fortunate. I've got a few men in my life, you know, like the majority of them are in recovery and stuff like that. But I've got a few men in my life, you know, that I have that relationship with, right?
Yeah.
that it's just like, hey man, this is how I feel. This is what's going on.
Yep.
And this is what I'm uneasy with, right?
Yeah.
And the sad part is it's taken me, a little over 30 years to get to this point where like this is okay, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes even today, like, I don't know about this one, right? This feeling's kind of icky, right? But you just push through it, right?
Right.
But what a relief,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like what a relief to be able to put that shield down, as I've said before, right? And to
Absolutely.
just say, you know what, like this is who I am. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
have a heart. It does beat. I have feelings. I do get hurt. I do have
Yeah.
fears, right? I,
And I think,
I'm not Superman, and I don't wear a cape.
yeah, exactly. And that's what makes me strong. That is actually
Yeah,
true strength. It's not, and you can call me weak if you want, but I know it's not, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
If that's what makes it okay with you calling me weak, go
exactly.
for it.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that was the hardest thing for me to grasp, right? Is like, you know, some of my weaknesses and stuff like that actually turn out and get spun into my absolute strength.
yeah.
And I'm
It's
like,
funny how that goes. Yeah.
you wouldn't have been able to explain that to me like, 15, 20 years ago. Like I just went, whatever. Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
my God.
sure.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
happening. Like
Yep.
move on. But, like even in our 12-step literature, it says many, many times in our literature that there's going to be times you're going to have to seek outside help,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? In
For
order to
sure.
move on, you're going to have to seek outside help. Of course, I read that and just glossed right over it. It was
As
never
all of us do, right?
it was
Like,
never going to pertain to me. It's like maybe
yeah.
you, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
me.
Well, for sure. All my sponsees, I'll underline it and highlight it for them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Read
But,
that 3 times.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you 4 times, but yeah, that's important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually something I wanted to kind of close out the conversation with is like how now going through and still continuing to go through this treatment and this therapy and learning and uncovering things about yourself and your past. How do you now bring that to work, and how does that show up for you in your everyday at the treatment center?
I don't go to the treatment center every day,
Okay.
because I mostly handle the business end of it and stuff like that.
Right.
But when I do go there, I love sitting in on sessions,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I love sitting in on group, right? And I always make sure I maneuver things so that I can sit in on a group, right?
Yeah.
And you know yourself, like when you've got 2 or 3 weeks of clean time and you're sitting at a table with a guy that has 30 years,
Yeah.
you might as well be sitting there with Captain Kirk from the USS Enterprise. Like
Yeah.
it's unfathomable. Like I've been clean and sober longer than some of these people have been alive,
Yeah.
right? In the
Yeah.
treatment center. So they're just like, what?
Right.
So when you're open to them and say like, yeah, I see a therapist every week.
Yeah.
Really? Your life should be golden. Like you should have no problems in your life.
Right.
But then you sit back and go like, problems happen all the time.
Yeah.
I spent the last 10 years of, caring for my mom who was dying from dementia.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away a year ago, January, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff that comes up with that,
For sure.
like, because even after my mom's death, it wasn't over. There was all the documents to deal with, the financial stuff and all the paperwork and, all that stuff. It brought up feelings,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
It brought up emotions and stuff. So I got to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So when you sit at a table with people that are like 2-3 weeks clean and stuff like that, and you're saying like, it never stops.
Yeah.
Life doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Like you don't leave here and then, you get a 1-year medallion and like, oh, you move into a different atmosphere where like, there's no problems. There's no stress. There's no death.
Yeah.
There's no illness. Stuff happens, man, all the time. And you got to deal with it. And hopefully you can deal with it in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
And if you need help, ask for it.
Right. You got to deal with it. It's how you deal with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's going to be dealt with one way or another.
Yes.
So which way do you want to deal with it?
For
The
sure.
disaster or in a healthy, positive way? Because,
Yeah.
like you can deal with anything.
Yeah.
You may not want to. Well, no one's saying that you want to deal with this stuff. You may not
Right.
want to, but you're going to have to deal with it because you can't stick your head in the sand like an ostrich. Like,
Yeah.
that's not an option. You're going to have to deal with things. So how do you want to deal with them? And what are you going to do to try and ensure that you don't get swallowed up by this stuff, that
Right.
it doesn't overtake you, that it doesn't crush you? We got to reach out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to reach out. Like,
Yeah.
you've got to share this stuff with other people, and it's like we say, like, you got to dump your garbage on the table.
Yep.
You have to.
Yeah, you have
because
to.
if you don't, you're going to keep that garbage within you, and it's going to rot you from the inside out.
Yeah.
Right. And I learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
I was 25 years sober, trying to figure out a way to end my life.
Yeah.
Absolutely miserable. Why? Because I didn't want to deal with some stuff. Right. I didn't know how to. And I certainly wasn't going to go out and ask for help.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, by this point in time, I should be okay.
Yeah.
I should be fine.
It should be. Right.
I shouldn't have any issues. I've dealt with everything over and over and over again. Why am I feeling this way today? Well, because you've dealt with the outward stuff, but we've never dealt. We've dug a little bit, but as you said in the beginning of the podcast, we did some surface digging.
Yeah,
that's all we did.
Yeah,
the skeletons, they're a lot further south. Like, you need a bigger shovel, son.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to get messy. So
yeah, for sure.
Get comfy because we're going to be here for a while.
Well, I mean, I think that's amazing. That's a great way to put it, and I think it's a great way to wrap it up. And
I'm very simplistic, eh?
Yeah, no, it's, but that's one of the things I love about you, man.
Yeah, as my sponsors say, you're ruthless and gentle all in one.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I am who I am.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and, digging a little deeper with us and showing us that it is, it's vital and essential to take care of our mental health. And, even though we're doing certain things for our recovery or ourselves or, eating right, working out, whatever, it's an all encompassing thing. And we need to, as you said, we need to do some excavating and dig deeper and put it all on the table, and get comfortable doing it, because life's going to be a lot better having that outlet and having that trust in other people.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's, the question to be answered is, how good do you want to feel?
Exactly.
How good do you want to feel?
Yeah.
Do you want to feel okay, which isn't a feeling?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or do you want to feel absolutely fantastic?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've come to the point where I want to feel fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, you're on that same journey where
100%.
It almost becomes addictive. It's like, okay, let's keep going, because this is shedding a lot of weight off me, and I feel a lot lighter.
For sure. For sure. And as you mentioned swimming with a backpack full of rocks, and every time you take out one of those big rocks, it's like, oh shit.
It gets a lot easier.
It can get easier than that. It can get easier than that. It's like,
seriously? I didn't think we could get to this point.
Yeah.
It gets easier? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in. I know it's going to be a little painful. It's like training for any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Man, when you first start, it sucks.
Yep.
It sucks because it's painful. You're sore. You're not enjoying it and stuff like that. But once you get into that cycle and you get into that groove, it's like, I want more of this.
Yeah.
I want more of this because this feels really good, and I want to feel really, really good.
Yeah. I love that.
I love talking with you, brother. I could sit here and talk to you all day.
I know. Same. Yeah. Feelings absolutely mutual. On that note, if anybody wants to reach out, do you want to plug any social media or any website?
They can definitely reach me on my Instagram. That's not a problem. Morandin67.
And I'll link that in the show notes so it's easily accessible to anybody who has any more questions or, maybe wants to bounce an idea off you or something. I know that you're always, your messages are always open. So, and I appreciate that about you. again, I want to thank you for believing in the show, believing in me, sponsoring the show, and everything that you do for me
Thank you so much, brother.
in
It's my
life.
pleasure.
Yeah, man. I love you.
I think what you're doing is really, really important,
Thank you,
you
man.
know, and I think, we're moving into a digital age, right?
Yeah.
So this message, I feel, can be spread even faster,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And if we help one or two people,
Yeah,
so worth it,
for sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And if this alleviates someone from rolling through like 10 or 15 years worth of pain,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. We've done our
that's what
job.
this is all about. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We've done our job.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having me on again.
Thank you.
Love your show. Love the episodes. You're doing a fantastic job. Love you, brother.
Thank you so much. And I love you too.